Okay, great, all right. The Town of Groton Planning and Zoning Commission is called to order. First we have roll call. Hal,
Here.
Michael,
Here.
Kevin,
Here.
Lauren,
Present.
and Jim.
Here.
Great, okey doke. So tonight, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Everybody.
6. So I guess since Lauren, you had the last opportunity, so Jim, would you be seated for Steve?
Sure.
Thank you. Okey doke. Okay, first thing is, of course, no public hearings, and so we have minutes from January 13. So I move to approve the January 13, 2026 minutes.
Second.
Okay, any changes, edits, or anything? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or nays, abstain? Okay, great, unanimous, thank you. Okay, at this time, are there any members of the public that would like to come up and give some comments or something? Communications on anything? Okey doke.
Do they, I don't know if anyone.
Oh, yeah, Joe's.
Joe's already, yeah.
Think so. Okay, the next matter is there's an annual conference. This is probably the most exciting event you could go to all year, but it's planning and zoning commissioners. There is a very nice meal. It is a long drive, Southbury, but that's northwest of Danbury or of Hartford or something. I don't know.
Oh,
I
maybe
got
that's
Hartford.
Hartford.
Yeah, yeah, it's up.
It's northwest of Middletown.
Yeah.
Looking at the.
You go through Middletown, that's how you get there.
So if anybody wants to attend, let us know. We can register you. You do.
Yeah.
Great.
Very good.
Terrific. You didn't even tell us.
It's a Wednesday.
It's Thursday, I think. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a Thursday. What?
Sure.
Something.
Okay.
So I know some of you are anticipating maybe year of service awards because for some reason they give out what, 12?
Well, 24.
Yep.
So of course Shannon's been extremely busy in a way and everything, so we'll look into that.
Yep.
And if in fact you're entitled to one, we'll have an
Yep.
award ceremony here. It'll be on the agenda. Okay, let's see, special permit.
That's okay. Yeah, it's setting down.
Okay, any special permits?
Nope.
Subdivision?
Nope.
Site plan?
Yes.
Okay, the first one is SIT 25-0010. Ocean Honda Improvements, that's on 531 Route 12. If you'd like to,
Is Joe going to want to speak as well?
Awesome.
Okay, then I will, I can arrange that one if he decides he needs to.
if you could just.
It's coming.
Name and address when you're ready. Pretty good.
These tables got moved.
Yeah, they totally did.
How's that?
That's good.
Okay, for the record, Kurt Porcherano, licensed professional engineer with Lorero Engineering Associates, 15 Bank Street, Groton, Connecticut. Here representing the applicant, Capital Management 25, care of Ocean Honda. Route 12, 531 Route 12. I want to start off by saying thank you to town staff. This is a little bit of a unique project in that many of the improvements, most of the improvements we're talking about tonight were actually designed and approved in 2019 by the previous owners of the property, Cardinal Honda. Since that time, my client, Victor Automotive Group, has purchased the site, and their desire is to straighten out all these sort of loose ends, things that were never constructed, to get the site in accordance with the approvals and focus on building the business, maintaining themselves as a good corporate neighbor. So what I'll do is I'll walk through the various improvements. At any time, please feel free to stop me if you have questions. I'll just systematically walk through the improvements. So first of all, to orient ourselves on the site, north is to the right of your sheet. Route 12. Here is the project, single entry point out onto Route 12. And what I'll do is I'll walk through sort of in a clockwise manner, and again, please stop me at any point if you have any questions. So the first part of the proposed application of the project is the paving of 8 parking spaces on the west side of the site. These spaces were included in the 2019 application. They were never constructed. I don't know why, but our proposal is to construct those spaces as designed. Associated with that, there is a trench drain that is intended to collect runoff flowing in a west-east direction from those parking spaces. That was also included in the previous application, never constructed.
Would those parking spaces be for customers?
That would be for inventory. They're sort of flex spaces. They could be for inventory or customers. There's ample customer parking down here. Those would most likely be for either service type vehicles that are in the queue, but they could be used for somebody that wanted to stop in, look for cars, those kinds of things.
Thank you.
There's a trench drain that runs in a west-east, east-west direction. That was again part of the 2019 application that were installed that we are proposing to install. The purpose of that trench drain is there's an existing paved driveway that slopes from south to north. The intent is to collect runoff coming down that driveway to prevent it from coming into the main parking field. So it's intended to intercept that flow. Both of those trench drains will tie into existing catch basins that were included in the 2019 application and did get constructed. So we will essentially excavate and core into those basins, matching the previous design. This area represents really the only new impervious area with the pavement. It's about 1,400 square feet. But again, that area was included in the previous design, so all of the stormwater management systems at the site do account for that pavement. So there will be no needed changes to those systems, with the exception of the 2 trench drains that I mentioned. Continuing in a north direction, we have a new dumpster area. This is the current location of the dumpster. This is one of those slight changes from 2019. Originally, the dumpster was proposed on the north side of the building. There's a series of electrical switchgear that got installed there, so it essentially blocked where the dumpster needed to go. This is actually a very good location for the dumpster. It has good access for the dumpster truck. It's being used currently. We're going to install a concrete pad with positive limit barriers, knowing we are in the Water Resource Protection District. It'll be screened with a chain link fence, black vinyl coated, with privacy slats to fully enclose it. It's not really visible that much from the street. As you know, this is a hill that drops down. It's not really visible from the road here. It'll make a nice location sort of at the back of the facility. We're striping an area for no parking in this area to keep things clear. It gets pretty tight in the back, and that was also included previously. We're also adding some pavement markings to direct and confirm one-way flow through this area. Again, it does get a little bit tight. At the front of the building, there is existing concrete sidewalk where the main customer parking is. There's also some pavers that are currently there. Those were included in the 2019 application. That application included a set of stairs on the south side. This is the entranceway. It's almost like a circular patio. Those stairs were constructed. There was a handicap ramp proposed on the north side. That was not constructed. Instead, stairs were constructed. So we want to correct that situation. We're going to take those stairs away, put in a compliant handicap ramp. What we're doing is proposing to replace the concrete you can see in the gray. It's currently concrete, but because of the ramp, we want to replace it all so we don't have a patchwork of things. Much easier to do it in one large bore. It'll look better. It'll be safer. It'll help minimize differential potential tripping points. The existing pavers that are there will be reset. We'll put in some new base material. There's been some differential settling, so we'll clean those up, make them look a lot nicer. So we'll have a nice flush condition all along the front of the facility. We're also gonna put in a new curb. Right now, there's a bituminous curb. They tend to get beat up, so we're gonna put in a nice concrete curb. The 2019 application also included handicap parking in the front, 4 spaces. We're slightly reconfiguring where those spaces go. I think it works better with the location of the proposed handicap ramp. So we've consolidated those on the north side of the front. Another benefit of that is we are adding a sidewalk connection from the existing sidewalk on Route 12 with a DOT ramp into the parking area, a marked crosswalk. By moving those spaces and adjusting that sidewalk from what was proposed in 2019, we can line that up very nicely with one of the access aisles. So it creates a nice, safe pedestrian transition from the sidewalk to the front walkway of the building. Along Route 12, there were 6 trees proposed in this area, 3 proposed in this area in 2019. They were never installed. So we're proposing to install those trees as shown in that application. Related to that, moving into the center of their site, there were, oh, I forgot to color one green, I apologize. 4 trees in existing islands. Again, they were part of the 2019 application, but never got installed. We will install those as part of this application and this project. On the south side of the site, there's a post and rope fence that was included in the 2019 application, intended to segregate the areas. This is all gravel, but it's intended to segregate and separate an area of naturalized area that we will actually revegetate as needed. We've slightly modified the alignment of that fence from 2019. Previously, it had a bit of an odd jut into this area. We straightened it out to line it up much nicer, and it actually increases a little bit this protected area. So it's meant to be decorative, it'll look nice. We have a detail in the package, if anybody's interested. Back to the other side of the site, because it's sort of a new thing, not included in 2019. I mentioned the electrical switchgear. We are including a screening of that electrical switchgear that will look very similar to the dumpster enclosure. Black vinyl coated chain link fence with privacy slats. It's a 3-side enclosure because it's electrical gear. We want to make sure that we have adequate egress when they open the cabinets and those kinds of things, for safety reasons. That screening will completely block it from the road. Again, it's at the back of the building. So the building itself, in a sense, provides screening on the south side. So it forms sort of a U shape. Out at Route 12, also proposed in the 2019 application but not installed, a painted standard stop bar and a DOT compliant stop sign, DOT standard breakaway metal post that will be installed as part of the project. There was one item that was included in the application. That was a question of whether it was installed, and that was a bituminous apron up at this secondary access way that is in place. So that's not part of this application. It's already there. It got constructed, I think, a little bit later, but it is in place. So that's a summary. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to have staff. What they have.
Great, thank you. So as noted, this is in the CR zone and it's also within the WRPD, the Water Resource Protection District Overlay Zone. In 2019, there were 2 additions to this existing dealership that were approved, and that's what he is referencing. And again, a number of items were constructed, a good deal of them were not. The additions do not have a certificate of occupancy because we were unable to give them a certificate of site plan compliance because they hadn't finished all the site work. So this plan represents basically a renewal of the 2019 because site plans are good for 5 years. You have to finish the work in 5 years unless you ask for an extension, which did not happen, plus some minor modifications. I'll note that in my staff report, I noted that frankly, there are cars all over the place, including in the area where it was supposed to be an area revegetated. That is the 20% in its natural state that is required by the WRPD. I went out there today and a good deal of it had been cleared. Cars were still in the process of being removed from that area. So at least as of 3 o'clock, it was in progress to move out of there. I've talked to the design engineer who has suggested doing a temporary until a real fence can be installed because of the frozen ground, doing some sort of temporary roping off. So everybody understands no cars in that area. I also want to note that the trees on this plan are exactly the same as what was approved in 2019. However, they are invasive. So we are going to change that as part of one of the tech items.
Thank you for noticing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Important.
And I think that's all I've got. I mean, both the fire, obviously the additions are in use without COs. The fire marshal has signed off on it as being fine, and the building official is comfortable to issue a CO once we sign off on it. So there's no danger necessarily here.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any questions at this point for the applicant?
Question about the traffic flow. So if I'm coming out of Ocean Honda and want to go north on Route 12,
Yes,
I have to cross lanes of traffic to do that. Is there another way I can access Route 12 out of the site besides just turning out of the main location?
yes, there is. Technically, there's two ways, but this is really, I wouldn't consider that a viable option. You could use the rear entrance that goes out onto,
Pleasant Valley Road.
that goes on the line there. And make a left onto Pleasant Valley Road and come down and go that way, or you could make a right, Pleasant Valley. So that would be an alternate, and that would be that one-way flow that you could exit the site.
So you could hit stoplights on
Yep.
those two
That's correct.
locations.
That's correct.
As I know that I've been there several times. I know it's a tight site. A lot, as Deb pointed out, there are a lot of cars. So navigating, maybe some good signage that allows you to understand that you've got an alternative to navigate out and not necessarily have to go across multiple lanes of traffic on Route 12.
Sure.
Is that all? Jim?
That's it.
Okay. Kevin, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I just had two questions. So were some of the cars, when we say all over the place, were they in a gravel area? Is that the main area we'd like them to be removed from?
Can you point out the area that's to be
'Cause those are-
revegetated?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
This is the area to be
Yeah.
revegetated.
okay,
and that is where cars were parked until very recently.
okay. And what does revegetation really mean?
Yep,
I mean,
it's
what kind
gonna
of
be-
plants?
Yeah, it's gonna be essentially a seed mix, and we're duplicating what was proposed in 2019. There was some spotty areas, and it's intended to make sure that there's good plant growth in there, that the ground is stabilized. It's really intended to leave the area in a natural state, if you will.
Got it. Thank you. And while it's I'm broaching into house territory, I didn't hear any changes on lights or anything on the site. Are there any changes to the lighting?
There is no changing to the lighting at all proposed.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, anybody else?
To get to my territory besides the lights. Two things. One, I just noticed that we've got there is the automobile display area, supposedly right on the grass. That's supposed to be in front there.
Yep, this is actually, this is the edge of pavement.
So it's
here.
actually
Yep.
Yep,
that
so that's all
Yep.
pavement.
right, because on that, it looks like it's just the natural grade just comes down.
Sure,
so-
yeah, the pavement kind of makes a step,
Okay,
and then it makes another step,
all
and
right.
that's where you see those vehicles parked.
Okay.
Right along.
That's not kind of shown in that drawing. That's what I wanted to point it out, that there is additional coverage that I don't think was originally planned. But I think you've got so much green space, it doesn't matter, but I would like to see that corrected. I noticed there's just on there that you have two little planters in the front of the building that normally I'd say we didn't care. Was that a requirement of some
It
kind?
is. It is.
Okay, what is the requirement?
It's a 5-foot landscape strip along the front of the building.
Okay,
So in this case, because of the sidewalks, you substituted planters.
and these things are 18 by 24. These are flower pots. Is this enough?
Yeah, we have.
And there's
three
two of them.
planters.
Is it-
And the previous ones, by way of a little bit of background, in 2019, they were proposed, they almost looked like barrels, and I just felt that
Yeah.
it didn't really go with the style.
Yeah.
So these are much nicer, they match in color, they're very heavy, they're kind of large.
They're not kind of large, they're kind of little. That's that's what I thought. It's a great big building with these little things. Is there three? Because I only saw two in the
Yeah,
plan.
one there.
Oh, one on the other side. Okay, so. All right, they're honestly the size of trash trays, so they're really not very impressive, but so that's my only comment on it. But I guess it meets the need, but I would love to see something that looks like a planter and not just a flower pot. I have nothing else, otherwise it's fine.
Thanks. We can think about planters in our regulation updates.
Yeah, well, and we did in light industrial, we allowed those the barrel planters, and that's fine in the light industrial. I didn't even care
For
then.
this building.
That's right. That's correct. Some places are fine, and when there's enough of them, not three scattered. But
Yes.
the question. At the 2019, I know that there was, thank you, Jim. There was concern about the cars parking on the snow shelf there on Route 12.
Mm-hmm.
And just want to make sure that that's clear, that is not a place there.
Yep, 100%. Additionally, along the site there, that's absolutely reserved, that's lawn area, no car should be parked there. Additionally, very quickly, you get onto the DOT's right of way, you certainly don't want to put cars out there, so that's absolutely considered a no park, no display zone.
And we have not changed the location of that electrical the area in the rear there where the electricals,
Yeah, that is as it was constructed in 2019.
so the width there is sufficient for
It is, yes. For
dump
passenger
trucks,
vehicle.
garbage trucks, are they gonna be, that's how they're gonna be entering?
They'll actually come in up here, because we talked to the site, they actually come in here, and we've kind of oversized the dumpster enclosure. So there's a lot of room in there, so the dumpster can, that's why we actually showed it at an angle. So he comes in here and then backs up and goes out that way, because
Okay.
similar to what you would ask, he wants to avoid Route 12 when he can.
Okay, all right. No, that's it. How often does something like this go 6 years without getting a CO?
Not very.
Seems like it makes it difficult for the seller and the buyer
It,
to come in and have a property that's in limbo.
And that's why Victory has been adamant
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
making things right. Getting
Yeah.
things connected, very important to them.
I guess it's just when there's handicap ramps that are missing, that's a pretty,
there was a handicap ramp, but in a different location, so folks could get in the building. Yeah.
yeah, okay, all right, no other questions, thank you.
Warren? Okay. So that's all. No, I don't have any questions. My questions are answered. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so is everybody ready for the motion?
Anybody need paper copies?
Nope, Shannon provided them.
Very good.
Okay, it was a draft motion for site 25-0010 Ocean Honda Improvements. 531 Route 12. So I moved to approve site 25-0010 Ocean Honda Improvements. 231 Route 12, subject to the following conditions. 1, the design engineer shall certify the stormwater management system has been constructed for the approved plan prior to the issuance of the certificate of the site plan compliance. 2, there shall be no parking, storage, or display of any vehicles within the areas of revegetation. 3, technical items as raised by staff shall be addressed. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Any discussion of anything? Okay,
No.
all in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
We opposed or the carries unanimously. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, can I just say something, Sue? I just want to thank Victory. I would just want to say thank Victory because being out of compliance for that long and coming in to this process and living by the rules of Groton to us is great, frankly, you know. And we're very thankful for the continued investment in the town of Groton. And thank you very much for correcting from 2019. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, for your kind
Yeah.
words. And we do appreciate it.
We do.
Okay. Next up would be the Coat House residents. 305 River Road. You'd like to make your presentation, give your name and address, please. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Bob Russo. I'm a certified soil scientist and environmental scientist with CLA Engineers in Norwich, Connecticut. I am here for the reference application. And as you indicated, 305 River Road in Mystic. And with me tonight is Miko Cothouse, one of the owners. And I know she'd be happy to answer questions if you have any particular questions about the property as well. What I'd like to do tonight is go over the existing conditions on the property and then flip over to a plan that shows the proposed conditions on the property. Just by way of introduction, the essence of this project is taking down an existing house and attached garage, putting up a new house, reusing a lot of the foundation of the existing house, and putting a new separate garage on the property. Just to orient you to the map, again, this is 305 River Road. River Road is over here on the commission's right-hand side of the map. North is pointing up toward the top of the map. Just across River Road is the beginning of Tidal Marsh and the Mystic River. So on your right-hand side, you have Tidal Marsh and the Mystic River, you have River Road, then you have the property. And I'll just indicate to the commission that as this is a coastal area review, because it falls within the designated coastal area, however, the subject parcel does not have any tidal marsh, tidally influenced water bodies, mudflats, dunes, any of those typical resources that you would consider in a coastal application. So this is entirely in an upland area that was previously developed. I'll just add for the commission's reference as well, there are inland wetlands on the site. And this plan has gone through the inland wetland permitting process already. So just to review the site itself, as you come up River Road, there's an existing permeable driveway, an existing house. The area I'm indicating now is the house. This area further to the west is the attached garage. There's an in-ground swimming pool. There's a detached outbuilding here. There are planters, trees, and I'm just going to trace the tree line here. This is the existing tree line. The remainder of the site is lawn. It's maintained as lawn. So, just to orient you a little further to the site in terms of site uses, as you know, the river and tidal marsh on the other side of River Road, there's residential development and some undeveloped land to the north and to the west, and there's preserved open space to the south. In terms of what's being proposed, I'm just going to flip over to this sheet, which is a site plan. And you can see the existing driveway will remain. A portion of it may be paved. The portion beyond the proposed house is going to be maintained as pervious. The request of the Inland Wetlands Commission was to try to limit the amount of additional impervious surface. So this area is indicated with a stone pattern is going to be pervious driveway. The new garage building, the detached garage, is here towards the north side of the site. The new house is going to be here. And just for your reference, I'm going to trace the footprint of the old house and garage. Right here is the existing house and garage. So you can see the new house is gonna sit and cover the footprint of the old house, reusing some of the foundation and then extend in some areas beyond it. As I indicated before, the site plan already has an inland wetland permit. You can see that there is erosion and sedimentation control that's going to go around the construction area. It will both contain and process runoff water from the site and kind of demarcate a limit of activity so that anyone with construction equipment, any of the workers aren't going to go beyond that. This site, as I mentioned, was previously developed, is largely in lawn, and is before you because it falls within the regulated area, regulated coastal area. However, it lacks those resources. Based on the design of the site, I don't think that there is any potential here for impacting those coastal resources. This is a reuse of an existing site, and it incorporates some low impact development methods like pervious driveway. And I'm just going to indicate to you this area here is a rain garden that will treat the runoff from the new garage. And with that, I'm just going to stop and say I'd be happy to answer any questions from the commission.
Thank you very much for your presentation. At this point, I'm going to ask staff for their comment.
Thank you. All right, so just a couple things. So we had talked about this a few months ago. So as a reminder, under Public Act 25-33, one thing changed, that single unit dwellings are no longer exempt for coastal site plan review if they're in the coastal area management plan. This is actually the first project that that's come before you that actually falls under this new public act. And as you're probably aware, we're working on revising the exemptions for the regulations to address that. So as part of that, it requires referral to Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. As you saw in the attachments, there's actually a letter there from Connecticut Deep as part of that referral. They submitted comments to the town that found that the application is consistent with the policies and standards of the Connecticut Coastal Management Act. As was mentioned, there are no tidal wetlands on site. They're only across the street. There are inland wetlands on the parcel. As part of the inland wetland approval last month, an area that was shown on the map that was historically mowed, that were inland wetlands are now proposed to no longer be allowed to do that. And there's actually plantings around there to protect that area, to designate exactly where it will not be mowed anymore. Review of proposed erosion and sediment control, find that it meet the requirements. And, the biggest thing is there are no known or foreseeable adverse impacts to the existing coastal resources. I'm happy to address any other comments you have, but that's all I have for now.
At this point, take some questions from any of the commissioners. Anyone would like this?
I have a question because I'm a little confused about the site. I'm very familiar with it, having been in Resident River Road. There's a kind of a tannish, brownish house on the site right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that the house that would be demolished?
It is.
It is. Okay. So it's not what's behind. So that house would remain because there's also a structure way up on the hill beyond it.
There's a structure behind it as well.
Yeah.
The existing house, let me bring back the existing conditions plan there. This is the existing house that you're speaking about. That would be demolished. That house has an attached garage. So both the house and the garage would come down. Beyond that is another building.
Okay.
That building would remain.
Okay. Okay. All right. So it's basically redoing that site, same driveway configuration, same movement right off of River Road.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question. Is the well that's in the back down that's still being used, or is that
The well's
going to be
continue
abandoned?
to be used.
And for what purposes?
It's a drinking water well.
But there is water, public water. Is that being used?
No public.
No water there. There's public sewer that will be used, but there's no public water.
Oh, okay. It says and water. What are water services? It says on here connect to existing sewer and,
It just connects to the, it should say connect to the existing.
okay,
Mhm.
all right. That's it. I don't have any questions, I suppose.
Okay, anybody else? All right, then, go ahead with the motion here. The draft motion to approve coastal site plan application CSP 25-0004, Cog House Residence, 305 River Road, with the following conditions. One, any modification to this plan imposed by another federal, state, or local agency that require additional review by town staff or the commission, whichever is appropriate. Two, technical items as raised by staff shall be addressed. So the findings are the commission hereby finds the application is modified. It is consistent with all applicable goals and policies of CPS 22-92. And incorporates all reasonable measures which would mitigate adverse impacts of the proposed activity on coastal resources. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The opposed or abstained? Okay, unanimous. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
There's sewer down there, but no water. Usually it's the other way around.
Doesn't go beyond 95. So
Water's easier to bring than
water
sewer.
Right now. I had an idea to maybe finish up the agenda and then go into the Groton 2035, if that's okay with staff and the commission to do that.
Okay, and then by 2/3 vote.
Sorry?
You have to amend the agenda by 2/3 vote.
Oh, okay. So I make a motion to move, basically, it's number 9. Down before motion to adjourn time. And so do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay.
No.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, I think,
That was an aye. Sorry. I was distracted.
thank you, and thanks, Lauren, I appreciate it. All right, so next would be, any new applications?
Just the regulation amendment, the open space common interest community.
Okay, so that one's gonna be ready for a meeting coming up soon.
Well, we have 65 days from today to open the hearing. I don't know. As of right now, I don't know when the hearing will be,
Okay, okay,
but it will be within 65 days.
fair enough, so it's moving along.
And that's the application for the common interest community, or is it the text amendment?
It is the text amendment.
Okay, and let's see, reported chair, if I started to give a report of everything I've been working on or whatever doing. It will be a long meeting, so I'll save all that for another time. But I appreciate everybody's continued hard work and interest in the BOCD. Greater Groton 2035, so I really do. Anybody else from the commission want to report on anything? Staff? You got anything to report?
Just a couple of things. New community conversation on the 26th of this month, on the missing middle project over at Thrive. No, over at the middle school.
Middle school.
Sorry. Yep.
Middle school, and then on the 5th, so the following Thursday at 4:45, we're gonna be having a third walking tour.
Oh,
So that's gonna be over in Mystic. Preliminarily, we're planning on meeting at the Baptist Church, but just need to confirm that that's okay. But it'll be on the Earl and Gravel side, so that other side of West Main that we didn't go through the last time.
That's great.
Thank you.
When was that?
March
Yeah.
5th.
Bryce,
March 5th.
what was the date and time again, please?
For the walking tour?
Yes, please.
March 5th, 4:45.
Thank you.
You want people to register with you?
No, it didn't really work out before. I don't know what we're registering it for. Yeah,
You get a good turnout.
tried, yeah, and then other people showed up and it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He had some
Yeah.
additions along the way.
yeah, so.
So I had one question. For the middle housing, is it just, I'm just observing, is it another middle housing or is there a specific area or topic that we're covering in more depth at that particular meeting at the middle school?
That will be a sort of broader reintroduction to the project, right? If you remember one of our last meetings, it was around specifically the future housing need and demand analysis that Camoin did. That's the kind of update to the 2021 housing study, 2023 housing study. This one is going to be just reintroducing the project for the public and then going through briefly the deliverables to date. So briefly going through that Camoin study once more, maybe having an addendum to that with these new EB hiring expectations, and then a housing typologies report that Union Studios, it's the architecture firm that's working on this project, that they produced that really went through the town of Groton and inventory missing middle housing types to then be able to inform what we would like to see.
Yeah.
And then it will be teeing up what to expect in the next couple months. There has been an extension on this project due to the government shutdown. So the last set of deliverables is now expected to come December 2026. So it's about a 6-month extension. We really wanted that, honestly, to give some more breathing room between the POCD and this project. And so some deliverables have been slightly altered in the deliverable date. Doesn't really impact the PZC in as much as the PZC is going to be receiving the regulatory recommendations in that December timeframe, most likely. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. So do you believe, so I know it got not misaligned, but differently aligned. It seemed like it was almost in parallel for a long time. Is there anything missing in the POCD because 6 months later after we deliver the POCD, the middle housing report really comes through, Bryce? Is there anything we need to align in POCD specific, or is it the belief that we may have to modify the POCD when the middle housing report comes out?
No, I mean,
Okay.
the future land use map draft that you guys went through was an attempt at aligning the missing middle project. There's some goals within the chapter 1 housing portion that expanded on looking at more housing types and variable housing types that allude to missing middle. But no, I think the text, the narrative of the draft that you guys are working from touches on missing middle about as much as I think we were comfortable with without having final products for the missing middle project. And then of course the flume.
So when would that missing middle project be done then? I thought it was gonna be fairly soon.
That's what I was just talking about, the
mean-
extension, the December date
So
Right.
it
will be
December.
done. It would, the final deliverable for that project, just again to reiterate, is recommendations to you all based upon the housing study, based upon the housing typologies, based on opportunity sites build out analyses, based on public feedback and community engagement. And those regulatory recommendations will be presented to you. There is then no time frame for you to consider the recommendations or to adopt or not adopt any of those recommendations. That's not part of this project. It's just to get to that finish line of recommendations.
So that is all the recommendations that we have on suggested changes to the zones and stuff.
Yeah, that the recommendations could come in the form of text amendments. They could be coming in the form of map amendments, maybe even subdivision regulation amendments, some changes there. We haven't been privy to any hard and fast recommendations as of yet. I think, we're pretty early in this project still to be doing anything like that.
And I
Okay.
guess, when's the Camoin gonna be updated then? If there is gonna be a.
I just sent an email over to them based upon that new EB hiring expectation this week. I haven't been told any kind of turnaround time. I'm hoping. I mean, it's really a matter probably of plugging in new assumptions, right, on hiring over the next 10 years with consideration of these new hiring figures that they expect. So I would expect the need to go up. I mean, there's logically no way for the need to go down based upon increased hiring expectations. But it's just a factor of working on Camoins' existing assumptions to then get another number. If you remember from that Camoins study, there were two scenarios. Scenario one, I think, was on a lower end of the spectrum. Scenario two, 4,000 and yeah, so the higher level was around 5,500. The lower level probably about 1,000 less, maybe 1,500 less. So there might be alterations to both of those scenarios. We've gotten away from, a single scenario, so now we're offering kind of a spectrum.
Well, sorry, do you wanna, I just have one more question, sorry, Kim.
No, I mean, so I just had one more question too. So to me, it's such an important study, right? And one of the issues when I saw that 8,000 number by EB is we have a lot in the funnel that are not being built. So at this time, do we believe we should go back to those developers, ensure that they see that we're coming through this middle housing study, and most importantly, ensure whatever Camoin comes out with, because we'd love to hopefully move those things a little bit more rapidly. So I don't know if we have a plan, or is that just an idea that is just an idea? We're not going to do that. I don't know, Bryce, if you have any thoughts on that.
I mean, I'll just
Just before Bryce gets going, I think that's an excellent point. That was one of the things that I was really thinking about over the past, week, 2 months, whatever. And I think it'd be really good to know where we are now with all of these large projects, we have, I know what if we fill, what's in the works, what's likely.
We have that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just I kind of need to.
So,
mental-
those big projects are not what Bryce is looking at. He's looking at some
We
big
understand.
projects, is looking at something much smaller.
But I will say that within that framework of the Camoin study, it's looking at the whole universe of need. It's not drilling down in those, those numbers that you hear, 6,000, whatever, how many units. Those top line numbers aren't talking about specifically missing middle housing units. There is a further breakdown at the end of that study that looks at preferences, need, and estimates how much of a percentage of that greater need would be directed towards that 2 to 19 unit range, which is what we're calling missing middle housing in the framework of this study. With regards to developments in the pipeline, those are actually accounted for in these scenarios. So Camoin asked us at the start of this project, what developments do you have permitted and what COs do you have? So they were able to account for projects that received permits, I believe 1002 Route 12 and the Crystal Lake apartments were the last approved multifamily developments that we had time to give to them before the study kind of commenced. I don't know that they considered the Groton Family Farm. Did that one receive
think it
approval?
did.
So
I
it
think
did.
so.
Okay, so it's
Ones that you have approved.
captured everything. Yeah.
Captured in there. Yeah, we still need the four.
When you say approved, you mean by this commission?
Yes.
It's not,
Yeah.
it's like there's still other, right? There's other reviews that have to occur to some of these.
Building permits.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
That's why we differentiated between permitted units and
Yeah.
COs.
yeah,
That's why I'd like to really confirm how those two mesh together, because a lot of numbers are being thrown out. I think in the day, the superintendent of schools is in Austin. She said that more than 680 families are expected to be moving in and out of the community over the next 10 to 15 years. And that's kind of, these are all pieces of information, this big soup of stuff that we have. But the other thing, was a recent, the fact that, electric boat. The Groton seems like they, like the need here, if I could say this, and feel free to. Or you can do it another time or not, but basically, they seem to really need the, what they call on-hold workforce. If I'm getting that term right, the people physically working on submarines.
Actually,
And in fact, there's a tendency or a trend now for the off-hold to be going to Waterford or wherever. I guess North Stonington has another facility and all that, but I think it's important to know if we're likely to get a certain kind of workforce that will help us to plan. The things we need. Do we need something more like Navy housing? Do we need apartment blocks here and there? What's gonna appeal to the workforce? Well, good thing is they were already living here, so something to appeal to about Groton, I think. Because that's what they were saying, most of the need coming up to a certain time was filled by people here, but now as things ramp up, I think it'd be really good to know who our customer is, in effect,
So at the end of that Des Moines study, Tom actually goes into how to divvy up the units based on need, preferences, workforce dynamics, incomes, family composition. So that is accounted for to the degree that we possibly could. Groton's not going to be, or EB, and the Navy base in general is not going to be giving us. We're expecting 20% of this worker making this, and we can't get down to that level of detail, and I don't think that level of detail really means much in the grand scheme of things.
Was that
because
study?
that was in the last study. Yeah, it's towards the end.
So if you went to the Greater Groton Project
Yep.
or the missing middle, you'll find the Des Moines report.
Yeah, we also placed it within the documents section of the OPDS page. There's plans and documents and stuff. We put it in there so you can compare it easily to the 2021, 2023 studies.
That's a Des Moines dated, what, 2025?
Yeah.
This one, yeah.
So I've got the recording up, I've got the presentation up, and I've got the report up. There's also the infographic that we had them produce that is more of like a one pager that has the key elements to it.
Yeah, and I guess I'd be interested in knowing what you recommend. Given what's happening, what's likely to happen. What kind of stratification of housing do we need? I mean, we've certainly gone the apartment route, and we have a lot of those. What do we need, going forward, especially with all these workers coming in?
Yeah, and that's in the report. It's 65%, I believe, is the demand, the expected demand for this 2 to 19 unit mix, though the missing middle. So we wanted this report done in such a way that it could inform how much of our focus we need to place on missing middle housing.
Yeah.
Single family housing still has a place, and the larger multifamily with the amenities that we've been seeing over the last couple of years certainly still have a place. There's both demand and preference for those. But what Des Moines found based upon all that data was that the overwhelming majority of the preference and the need was in that missing middle of the spectrum.
Interesting.
Honestly, I don't think for the speed that we can act, that we can approve things right and left and hope that things get built. And we've seen the speed that they don't get built. Our ability to change direction and move towards the wrong way is so slow that I don't think we can possibly overbuild in any direction. I don't think anything we do here, we just can't. We would love to get, build 1,000 units. We would never get there.
And if I can just add to, there's, nationally documented information now that because we've reduced the building and the ability to build missing middle, we've basically lost that builder and developer class altogether. That's why you're seeing a lot of these workforce programs for builders and small scale builders, because people are good at building single family. They're really good at building commercial and larger multifamily, but we've really lost that class of developer builder that can do the stuff that we need and kind of want. And so to Hal's point, it's gonna be slow going. We're talking with developers and builders. What do you guys think about missing middle? They're like, well, I just do single family homes, you know, and that's kind of what we've heard.
I think it's good we're coming up with some new single family type alternatives for development.
I'm just saying to that end, if we're, if there's a fear, oh, what, heaven forbid, we are going to overbuild any particular type, especially missing middle, which we have so little of. I don't think that's where you're going to be. I don't think we should have that fear. I think it's impossible for us to, if we were to approve everything today, we just would never get there. So I don't think we have any fear, should have any fear of making a mistake in that regard, because we just can't do it.
I would agree with Hal, and you probably all saw the article in Day on Sunday where the Chamber of Commerce said, well, we're going to have housing. We've already got some towns responding to the EB hiring, and they mentioned New London, Waterford, Stonington. I thought it was telling that they did not mention Groton. So there's a perception out there, at least among the community and the Chamber of Commerce here, that Groton is not moving enough in the area of housing, and it's something that I think is obviously a priority in the POCD, and I think something that we've got to make it clear that we're setting a clear direction for that in the future. So I would agree with Hal. I think there's not much risk here, and I think that it's important for us to be looking at all the opportunities that are available, recognizing that we're also trying to balance conservation and resiliency as part of it too. So it's a three-legged stool that we have here in the plan.
Well, I don't really agree with you too. I think it's good to make sure we're really doing the most efficient, best thing possible to produce what end result we want. And I don't think at this point, there's a lot of conservation versus development. Ton of work going on. And we've done very well in this town. On the conservation side. That's my personal opinion. But I think there are properties here that must lend themselves more to what we're looking for. And I don't have a good idea, other than the big blank spaces that we have, where they are. I mean, what's going to be really appropriate for one big plot like the oral school, and what makes sense there. Obviously the last I did didn't work too well, but each one, I think it'd be really good to look at like the school redevelopments, all these things, and not just the usual list, look at the whole list. I mean, what are really the opportunities this town to put up the kind of units that we need, or the kind of duplexes, whenever the right thing is.
The 4 plexes or the 15 plexes.
Yeah. It was interesting, Navy housing, a lot of duplexes.
And if the opportunity site deliverable, which is among our next set of deliverables, is going to be hypothetically test fitting how these missing middle product types fit within a site, right? So the consultants actually 3D printed missing middle housing types, and they will print out site plans so people can move them around on a site, see what they look and feel like amongst, neighboring properties and things like that. So understanding conceptually that we need missing middle housing is one thing, but understanding how they can easily fit in and blend into neighborhoods. I think the walking tours are an attempt at doing that, but I think this opportunity site deliverable is going to be a really good way for people to get their hands on and figure out what they like to see, what product types they like to see at the scales that they like to see, and balance that with the need.
So that's at the next meeting at senior.
That's not at the community conversation. So I should say March 26th is going to be our next public meeting. We haven't started advertising for that yet because we don't want to cross advertise too much and confuse people. But March 26th will be the next public meeting that will be led by the consultants on this project, and that will have those opportunity sites. And then I think there's going to be some, regurgitating of the housing typologies as well during that.
Are you gonna get those models and stuff ahead of that time, or could you?
No idea. I think those are probably coming with the consultants that are flying in for it, so probably not. But we have been reviewing what they are basing the 3D models off of, and we haven't gotten confirmation as to which ones will be printed.
And these are supposed to be this 2 to 15.
These-
Which are,
These will represent more of that 2 to 9 unit scale, I believe. These are based upon examples from Cape Cod. I mean, they're 3D printed, they're not that
Yeah.
detailed. So it's gonna be your kind of New England architecture types. But it's more about the scale and feel of them than the units inside, I
Yeah.
think, is the
no, I
idea
think
of
that's
these.
why it's important to do these walks and to see
Mhm.
how you put a 3-family home next to something and it isn't a problem.
Yeah.
If I could, Sue. If just a comment back to Hal and Jim, I don't agree that we're not at risk of overdevelopment or of sprinting too fast. We did a bunch of these approvals all at once, and yes, it'll take a couple years before they actually materialize and we're hit with the impact, but I am very much aware of the impact of 200, 300 block apartments springing up in the same neighborhood. That's very real to me right now, and that feeling of overproduction, even though it's just paper right now, is very real. And so I think that the lag time between when we approve something and when it actually constructs, it's almost too late to realize that you've overbuilt an area. And my concern is that if we don't do something to proactively, and this may be more of a philosophical question, if we have these big units that allow for high density, these large apartment blocks, just because of the way the zoning is written, that's the way developers are going to go. I think, as Bryce mentioned, there's a lot of economic reasons why they will trend more to several hundred units as opposed to 2 to 9. And that's something that we have to be more proactive about in a lot of different regards, right? People aren't building single family homes just because they like them. It's usually very particular cases and means. And so what can we do with our zoning and to make it more attractive to do that? And maybe, I don't want to say a little restrictive on those huge apartment blocks, but I don't think that, I think that we are at risk if we're not careful.
Yeah, and I see, I agree with the large apartment blocks.
Yeah, and that's my
I agree
concern,
too.
right?
I agree.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
not what we're talking.
we agree.
We're talking about overdoing with 2 to 15.
But
That's
but
right, 2 to 19, 2 to
2 to
19.
19, that
Wait,
would take a
you can't-
long time.
You couldn't overdo with 2 to 19, but my point is,
That's
the
that's
way
our
that the
point.
zoning is right now, I don't see
It was
2 to 19.
I'm sorry, the models will be 2 to 9. 2 to 19 is how we're defining missing middle.
That's defined, yeah.
And this
Okay.
was a this project was a direct response to exactly what you're saying, right? We heard from the community that, it is, jarring to see these large apartments. And so we wrote this project
Starting to see them all in the same neighborhood.
specifically to address that.
I don't think that's the only risk though, because when you start with your traditional R12, et cetera, neighborhoods. And you make major changes and you go to your public hearings, I mean, this town is infamous or famous. For having good public, whatever, comments on things. So I just think we have to be careful, we're really coming up with something too, that the community wants. And that's why I was pushing for that sense of place thing in the POCD. Not that that's a hard and fast, you can look up the Connecticut general statutes on it and stuff like that, but. That idea that people are used to a certain thing and can it be changed some and tweaked, sure, absolutely. But on the other hand, you don't want all of a sudden to have your daily city in your backyard.
No, but I don't think that's the way it's gonna happen.
I don't know, see, I just don't know.
It's currently happening that way, and that's why I'm trying to
Oh.
proactively
Well.
say, like, what are we doing to scale it
not
back
the
down?
zoning Change so much, or the density changes, I don't think it was. A lot, well. I just don't see a developer coming in and buying up a neighborhood and bulldozing the houses and
Right.
Well, that's
increasing the density.
exactly right. I don't know how this is gonna work. I'm struggling.
Well, I'm hoping that it's gonna be more, I said it was organic, where it's gonna happen in a way that is.
But like,
Who has that kind of money though?
it's ROI,
They
and
won't.
they have the opportunity to build those types of housing right now. they are not choosing to do it because of the ROI. And that's my point, right? Is we won't overdose on 2 to 19 units, but there's no incentive to build 2 to 19 units until we make it
Yes, there is.
restrictive.
There is.
Well,
Yeah.
There is.
Not on these huge tracts of land.
No,
Not looking at huge tracts of land at all.
no, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, it's Infill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
incremental housing.
I guess it depends on.
Right, we would have to
How-
approve
Money.
a 10 unit
Mhm.
development every time we meet the next many years to get
Sure.
it, to get into any problems. So we're not talking about knocking down huge areas and building a
Right.
whole development full of
Right.
duplexes. That's not what this is.
I'm just saying, how is it gonna work, even as it was originally laid out there? I didn't think that was a feasible plan myself. Just didn't.
I'm just thinking about like,
Maybe it is, but I'd like to know where it worked. Where in the country is this work going from a Groton type zoning into something where you're putting all these missing middle type houses?
Oregon. Oregon.
Oregon?
Oregon,
Yep.
Central California, any number of
Yep.
places where
Yep.
it just became beneficial to keep stuffing things in.
Who's going to do it? Who's going to be the investor here? Hopefully not the LLC.
Almost.
So, I mean,
I just want to say, I'm not disagreeing with you at all, Lauren. I am not supporting that whole idea of, massive 200 complexes. I was really talking about exactly what Al was
And-
saying, and
and
that
Bill.
is, you can, I don't think we've got the ability to kind of approve, and I just don't think there's much risk on the missing middle part of this, the 2 to 19. And I think we ought to be encouraging that.
Let's not, we have differences.
But so I do have a question on how to read the report. So you said that all of the properties that we approved last year, those big 200 whatever complexes, are included in the count. So when I was reading the section on preferences, should I read that as in, say, I don't remember the number, but if there's a preference for another 400 style apartment units, right? Is that including the ones already in the pipeline? So it's 400 in addition to what we've already approved, or is what we already approved consuming that 400
No.
unit demand?
If I recall how the preference is broken up, it's taking the universe of 100% being the 500, odd or 5,000 odd units at that higher end scenario. And Camoin broke it up as, that overall need could be met via, or based on preferences and incomes and household compositions. 20% is likely to go to single family. 20, they're not breaking it up in quote unquote big, massive apartment complexes. It's 20 units and over is how they're delineating between larger scale apartments and the missing middle. It's just, I don't know from a feasibility perspective, from their point of view, if they could have broken up, your mid-scale apartments to large apartments and things like that. To your question about if those units are considered within that spectrum of need, yes, they all are. There
So it's
is
in addition to what we
assumptions.
already have. That's
There
how
are
I should read it.
assumptions built in. No, so we're not counting units before they get COs.
Okay,
So within that realm of need, we're not saying that need's already been met by these units that we've approved, because those units are just approved. They're not built, to your point that sometimes these things never come to pass.
I think that confused me more.
They are considered within the spectrum of like what we have in the pipeline, but we're not counting them as units that are already completed.
Right, but when I'm reading future demand, am I including them in addition to everything that's already been approved? Or is it these potentially already approved when built will meet this existing demand?
I believe it's factoring those units out, right, Deb? We went back and forth.
Does my question make sense?
It makes sense, but I
Okay.
think that the kind of answer is the area of uncertainty. In any mathematical problem, you have an area of uncertainty, there you adjust for it, like you're saying, what's my area of uncertainty? The area of uncertainty is the difference between COs and
Yes.
things we've approved.
Yes.
There's a difference. That's not 1,000, that's
Right.
several hundred.
Right.
And so there will be that difference, and that's our measure. Say, okay, let's make, if there's a concern, we should factor that in, that we could be off by 800 units or however many that difference is.
Well, but isn't the thing really have people backed out of it? I mean,
Whatever, but
if-
it's not,
if-
that's the unknown.
No, I think that is a big deal. If the developer gets cold feet on one of these big projects, just says, look, this place is making me nervous, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think there's gonna be young professionals here. I think it's gonna be all on workers. I've got a huge exposure there. These other apartments are, okay, they're at capacity sort of, but there doesn't seem to be room for mine.
But if they,
They get out, or they go to a different type of housing.
Well, and
But-
that's my concern, right, is that with our zoning, we become too attractive to a certain type of build. We overbuild that and then it's not meeting the demand, so we have units sitting empty as people go to other towns that have more successfully built the unit preferences that they want.
We have an extremely low vacancy rate. in
Well,
Groton.
Oh, sure.
Now we do, right?
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, but that's the same uncertainty that any developer face anywhere is, am I overbuilding or not? Like,
I
their
think that-
due diligence
Oh.
goes far and beyond what we're putting into a lot of this as well, because they're staking a lot of money.
This would be true, but unfortunately, we're talking about basically one employer, and I think that's a huge.
And that's also part of the POCD.
You know what the other risk is too? I mean, you're in the submarine business, right? You're in the submarine business. And if you read about the submarine business globally now, you might be a little nervous. I know I am. What's going on though? It's not just like, hey, we got the market on it. This is the submarine capital of the world. There's a lot going on that other countries, some of whom are not as friendly as others. So, I think there's a risk in that too, especially when you have one more or less, one-ish product, one big company. It's just a risk, but nonetheless,
We only have as much information as we have today.
That's right.
Like, I mean, we could like plan for everything.
and we're not going to get more. That's,
I'm not thinking about the next even 5 years. I'm thinking about the next 10 or 15 when we and all of the towns around us have built up more units. Are we going to be facing some kind of vacancy problem because we have overbuilt a certain type of apartment and then it crashes the value of some of our
And
properties?
the other part of Camoins' study that's really interesting though, is the change in the household composition, household size,
Yep.
right? And those continue to shrink because of not having kids, because of divorce rates. Like, I'm not saying that there's a static line going up to, housing. We're going to have to keep building housing endlessly because household composition is going to change endlessly. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but they do take into account those trends of decreasing households as part of that need that needs to be met, right?
Okay.
and all of this doesn't take into account an increasing population. It's saying the opposite. Saying the population, we don't even know if it's going to increase.
I think,
We just need more houses.
yeah, we need to figure out though, I mean, we can't, but we'd be good to get people's thoughts on. We really have the right mix of apartments
No, we don't.
to missing middle, and what should it be, right?
Yeah.
I think that, and then we ever want to think about limiting the number of apartments that can be put
I
up
think
too.
some of those things, like,
Because it's like the
nothing
school-
is static.
No,
Right.
school property,
No, but-
okay, one, you wanna, community garden, but it's like, okay, could you do like missing middle type housing on school property? And, leave the apartments to maybe more the corridor of,
That would have been nice.
US one type thing where the zoning for that's frightening to look at how much zoning there is for apartments in the way. In the meantime, we're trying to scrounge around R12 to get our missing middle. So anyway,
We're
things to
not-
think about, not just beat it dead horse.
Yeah, and again, we are talking about missing.
Yeah, exactly. That's just what I was gonna say. We're sort of morphing into another
No,
topic.
well, we got more than one thing going on.
I understand. I understand.
I would say too is that
Kevin's
nothing
gonna
is,
Sorry.
no, it's, apartments, it could be an apartment. Today, we've seen hotels converted to apartments.
Yeah.
Apartments could be converted to hotels. I mean, people are trying to make money and they will adapt, I think,
Yeah,
or go out of
exactly.
business,
And-
it's.
And even though there's a lot of commercial land that
Mhm.
you could put multifamily on, right now, it's Walmart, it's developed parcels. So it's not like there's all of this land that is vacant and,
Right,
ready.
no, and I think
for
that's what
multifamily,
we would like to avoid. I mean, something like you see the crystal ball in Waterford, right? It's being converted to electric boat. I mean, anything can happen, and I don't think we can anticipate everything.
Yeah, Kevin had just like Kevin had a question.
Yes, so I'm not saying I'm going to seal this conversation, but we only can do what we can control, right? And so as a government entity, a commission, we can't throttle anything that we've talked about here, but we can, which I think if when we get to the POCD comments, we can emphasize certain things. So if I look and I'm building the business here, right? And I look at my funnel and this stuff is way out and it's all big and we don't have a town plan for town plan properties as far as a master plan. We have better information, in my opinion, than any other town in southeastern Connecticut. This study has provided us that, right? And so while we can't control the big projects or when they're going to be done, the urgency of this project, the middle housing, is critical, in my opinion, to Groton. We have the ability, in my opinion, by December of 2026, to provide more of an urgency, which the town council is going to need as well. And I'm going to present something which I had put in as far as the comments for the POCD. But this is the study, guys, that allows Groton to, and it should be publicized if we can execute on it, to be able to execute on an area that very few other people in the country had the analytics to bring out, and then for the town to change certain things to make middle housing happen. And so that's why I believe, and that's where I started this conversation, it has become so critical to us. So when we come out with it becomes urgent. This is what we work on as far as a group immediately. POCD is going to evolve, but middle housing is our opportunity in Groton. That's what we can control. So that's my little speech. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So, should we move on to the?
Well, hang on.
Reported.
Hang on. We're not done with report of staff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all report of staff.
Oh, wait a minute.
So,
Was that
so
your
I just,
report?
right, that was definitely, just notification of that meeting. And I'm just actually going to move on to the application and ASP report. I just want I want you all to be aware that we do have an ASP for an additional 22 seats at SIFT. If you look at the SIFT building if you're standing in the street looking at it to the left, it's like a pergola and it has seating underneath it. They plan to make that essentially a deck and put seating up top on that. So it was submitted as an ASP. I'm just letting you know that. And if you have concerns about it being handled as an administrative site plan, I'd be interested to hear that.
When the existing deck got enclosed, that happened because they said, well, nothing really changes because the deck was
Same
already there.
seats, that's right.
Now we're going up and
And it's additional 22 seats.
additional
Yep. So is
seats.
this something that you would like to review? That's really what I'm getting at here.
We're going to get killed for parking because we're not making them provide anything anywhere.
I think we should review.
Okay, that's fine. I'll let them know.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I
I
just
just
think
wanted
they're
to, didn't want that to get all signed off and then all of a sudden you're like, what the heck?
You
Yeah.
can give them the heads up that I'll make a fuss about their lighting.
That's fine. Okay.
Can you include a slip sheet called the Hal Zod report?
Yeah, it's already happened.
Full cutoffs, dark sky compliant, please.
I'm so glad I should review it.
Start doing podcasts, Hal. We need a podcast from you.
Okay.
Just on lighting, dude.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
No, that's great.
The
Okay.
plantings too, I think that's also good.
Plantings.
The plantings and the
Color
lighting.
temperature.
Yeah, why don't we take a short break? Is everybody up for that? Just a 5-minute break.
And then what are we gonna,
And then I got some things on the. Everybody else does. And then we want to go through the matrix and I have so many comments on the matrix. We could be here a long time. That's all I can say. I don't know. We could set up another meeting even with, whatever, just. I don't know.
Well, just with regards to the matrix, I mean, what we're interested in is whether or not, so the strategies and things have not been updated. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
right.
but generally, I think the wording is what you all have agreed to. So really, we're looking for input as to whether this is short-term, long-term,
Right.
medium-term, and are the right people assigned to this project. But
Okay.
that's really it.
Because I've got problems with a lot of wording too. I don't.
And again, that's for
and
the
I think
narrative.
it's-
I think
there's
that's
so
for the
much
narrative.
Redundant stuff.
Understood, but that's for the narrative, and that will get, whatever you settle on in the text and the narrative for the strategies and for the goals, that will just be plopped into this.
Well, when will the text be updated for all?
When you guys finish your comments.
Well, I think we're finished, aren't we?
I
If
don't
I have
know.
more comments, it's not allowed.
If you are, that's fine. It wasn't really clear at
Oh,
last
no,
week's
I was
meeting
just
that you
waiting
were done.
for- Nothing's been input. I mean, it's been a long time. That's why I was waiting.
So, okay. Did you want
I
to
mean,
take a
he
break
has
or do you
all
want to
of-
keep going?
Well, Jeff has all the comments, right, from everybody.
Right, and no one else has any others.
I haven't made a comment in a long time.
Okay, that's fine.
Are the comments necessarily incorporated into
They-
it, or are they gonna be?
They will be,
They will
they will be. Conservation Commission comments have been incorporated into it. Actually, I think, Jim, we got yours early enough that yours were already
Yes.
incorporated into it. So the others that we've received from Michael and Sue and Kevin, those will be. And frankly, Jeff will be looking at it to make sure there's no conflicts between those comments.
So that's what.
Yeah, no, that's my concern,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
some of it
And
is
so-
me ranting.
And that's true. Well, true. A lot of your comments are,
Editorial.
yeah, not even wordsmithing. It's
Right.
just like,
Yeah,
when are we gonna get going on this?
Yeah,
That
but-
kind of stuff.
but it's like, I just feel like I really need this wrapped up here, and then I could do the matrix, be a lot easier.
Absolutely.
But I would like to take a hatchet to a lot of it, quite honestly. I think other people are responsible for a lot of these. Some things are just
And that's fine. I mean,
nice to have, they'll happen or they won't, or whatever.
okay, so the goals and the strategies come directly out of the narrative,
That's
out of the
right.
text.
That's what I'm
Okay,
writing.
so if you have commented on the language there, that will get updated and then be inserted into the matrix. And
Okay,
then
that's fine.
from
No, okay.
there, you look at, timing and players.
And you think that's gonna be how long?
So, well, after last Thursday's meeting, before going into last Thursday's meeting, Jeff was hoping the discussion would have wrapped up and he was gonna spend all day Friday on it and then give us the updated draft.
Right.
So I think it's a fairly quick turnaround
Oh,
on
good.
his end.
Okay, great, because sooner the better, because
Oh, yeah.
well, I'd love to work on the matrix.
So yes, the sooner the better, because we absolutely have to get these referrals out by the 1st of March.
Oh, I know.
So,
I
yeah.
know we have some time, but not a lot of
Yep.
time.
Okay, so sorry, that being said, I know you said you wanted to take a break. I don't know if you still.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is everybody okay with a short break?
Yes.
Okay.
Good idea.
You wanna set a
I
time?
make a motion to take a 5-minute break. Is that good?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Back at 8:20?
All in favor.
I'm sorry.
28.
20.
Mhm. Sean can edit it out. It's
Yeah,
only
sure.
5 minutes.
That's all.
He can pop his head into the window a little.
Funded?
Oh, we did?
I think he's.
Oh, I'm sure he is, yeah.
They're doing a missing middle presentation now. It's true. Okay, yeah. You do, Michael.
I'm fine, thank you very much.
We were supposed to get this Howard.
Yeah, we were supposed to, but I don't know. Let's look at the weather. So it says cloudy up on the computer
It
screen.
says it's supposed to rain tonight.
Rain?
Oh. That's what I
Is
Snow.
it warm?
saw.
I don't know. It's felt balmy, so, but yeah, I don't know.
We are not supposed to go to the Crystal Ball until December 2027.
Okay.
Unless you said
Are you
something
gonna be
about-
moved there?
God,
Oh, really?
Really, especially with the construction on the bridge. Oh, my God.
I know. But the idea is that anyone who's not touched labor, they want to move out of the yard.
Yeah.
So they can make more
Sounds like
room
rain.
for more whole segments.
Or which?
Whole segments.
What is that?
So the ship is constructed like slices of sushi, essentially.
Oh,
So like.
Yep.
Like
oh,
this.
oh, to
and
make,
then-
oh,
And then they put all
I,
the guts in it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they join them together.
yeah, huh,
It kind of does kind of look like rolls of like pieces of sushi.
yeah.
Currently, the entire first Columbia is in yard. It's in Groton. It just needs to be
Put together. Mhm.
hodgepodge together. Some EV green.
Sure. Everything. Try to open the door of the phone.
If you don't,
Scroll.
is everybody ready? I guess we can.
Right.
You still have 2 minutes of your 5-minute recess.
That's right.
What's that?
You have 2 minutes of your 5-minute recess.
Roll things. But that,
minute
hold
break.
on 1 minute, make it a drink.
There you go. It'll be 5 minutes.
Get on.
There you go.
I just want to let all you know that I typically join you from Vermont where it's minus 17 degrees. But to rub it in, I got too cold and I came to Florida instead. And so
Shit.
unfortunately, I'm with you guys from Florida tonight. So it's only 72 degrees today. So I wanted to pass my regrets on to everyone.
Yeah, but you're in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that.
Talk about a lot of development. It's like,
Yeah,
my
right.
God, the cup runneth over.
Yep.
No rules.
Okay. So is everybody ready to start?
You still got a minute?
Yeah. Well.
We're all here.
What I'd like to do is go over a couple things. I have some ideas on the room. And a couple of big corrections, is start with the easy stuff. There's some green space and I haven't been. There's green space, I think that's missing on the choice. And there's that one over by Pleasant Valley Road.
Yep, we've been backing up. Yep,
Okay.
we've already given them that.
I figured you probably
Yep,
know all
and then a
these.
couple of cemeteries as well.
Yeah,
in that
they
area.
all make sense. And of course, the GOSA piece on.
Yep.
The new piece of theirs on Route 117. And the Sassacus wasn't green on mine.
Because,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's because it's not green on yours. It has been updated.
Yeah, it's not right now.
What is yours, January 14?
No, it's December 15th.
Right, the
Yeah.
January 14 one does have that.
See, that's my fault. I should have got the, no, just kidding. That's good. And there's one more.
This one does. Oh, this is.
Oh, yeah, the one, we probably got this, the one with Green Bluff Point and Haley Farm, kind of the railroad track there. Remember how we changed it to green and it's still showing us blue on the map here?
I fixed
Yep.
that. Yeah. Yep.
That-
Yep.
Yep. Right, I think that's all for that. One of the things, I guess, that's, and anybody who wants to, if you want to make some comments or whatever, we'll keep this a little more fluid here. The one thing I wasn't crazy about was the areas of future study. I think if we could combine that with the, what was the other?
Future analysis, yeah, I
Yeah.
think Jeff picked that up.
And I think you're gonna do
So
it.
absolutely, that's right, it's just gonna be one.
Study or analyze?
Right.
We're gonna,
Yep.
Deb and I were talking, we're
Yep.
gonna work a little bit on like the symbology for that to make it a little easier to
Read.
read.
See what the use. of
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
So we'll
Yep.
tweak with that a little.
Be really good, and. I think it'd be good if we could put all potential. Whatever plots or areas on this thing. And on that, for example, of course, the rural school, I guess, area, the schools that are supposed to be redeveloped.
So so I just want to make sure I understand, this is basically the areas of future study.
Right.
Okay, all right, so yep, oral schools on there, Butler is there, Claude Chester.
But I think, as I understand it, for the deeds and all, the Noack School is not really green space or anything, it's still town-owned property. So I think we ought to, at least out of fairness, take a look at it. But not maybe on the first week.
I mean, the town council made a decision as to what to do with it.
So you think,
And
and
then,
I was talking with, I forget, who in town. I don't know with John or who was, but I thought I was hearing that basically it's in the same category as anything else, because it hasn't really been changed on the deed or anything.
and sure, but the council has made a decision and they are considering, CIP projects to do improvements,
Right.
parks improvements on the property.
So they're down the.
Yeah, the deed just hasn't been changed.
Right, or I don't know if it was intended to be, so, but whatever.
Yeah. I don't think.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that was, but anything like that, that's, even those little big properties in the industrial one, I mean, those are really, these are all big things that we should be, I think, thinking about. Cause there's only so much land that we have. And,
What will we be studying in those?
for example, we have a new subdivision idea that may fit. Not only the 80 acres on, Knowing Ledger, but it could also fit some of these light industrial places,
But sure, but that's a text amendment that's already in progress. And at least with regards to the 80-acre parcel, the density is going to match the density that's allowed by zoning. He's not asking to increase or any, and the text amendment will not allow that. You will have to adhere to whatever the density of the zone is.
True, but the other things we're studying, that's the case too for a lot of them, isn't it? The density, it's matching the zoning, it's matching the density. It's kind of like, why are we, okay, that's the other question, why are we really choosing places for study then? If they all have their own zoning.
No, it's because this commission wasn't ready to say, yep, Mystic Ed Center should be high density. That's the future study. What designation do you want to give it on the future land use map?
Okay, maybe good to make that clear.
Yeah, we can do that in the text, but that's the whole point of this future study, is that we're not ready to make a recommendation for that particular parcel at this time.
And in the explanations of this, it's not on this, but what explains what these legend items mean. Maybe
Right,
it's
right.
just tweaking that a little bit more once we combine the analysis and future study ones, really making it precise as to what that means.
What it doesn't.
Right, exactly.
Right.
What it does.
Are we really capturing everything?
Are there other areas where you are not comfortable with, or you don't know what it should be? I mean, that's the point of future study.
I mean, rural schools are a good one.
Again, that's shown on here.
Oh, I know.
It's the kind of thing.
That would be a good thing.
We
but
just don't know.
others, what else are we missing?
I think it's prudent maybe not to put ourselves ahead of wherever the council might want to go on any of these properties and where they go out for RFP or anything like that. If we come in and already say that we think it should be this, that would be, I think, too much of a thumb on the scale that I'd be comfortable with. So I think keeping them as government industrial is fine with future study for whatever the council wants to do with it in the future.
I think one of the problems has been, there hasn't been a consistent approach.
That is a,
Absolutely. And that's a
I'm not-
recommendation in this
Mhm.
document. That's right.
yes,
For the horses out of the barn.
Yeah. and if, oh, sorry, Sue.
And one other thought here, is to put the, oh, no, another question on the future study thing. Kevin had that excellent piece on, is he not on the?
Oh, we lost Kevin.
there he is.
No, he's there.
No, I was just here.
I
I was just listening, sorry.
Sorry, I was getting nervous there. On your Groton Housing Authority, I was just
Yeah.
wondering, would it make sense to put some of their properties? Maybe it's not future study, but it really is future financing, a lot of their things, right?
Sure,
Um,
probably not something you want to show on the future land use map, but
Right.
yes.
Well,
And
Well, that's my question because, we actually have a high class problem here, I think, because we have so many different organizations that were ready to go, as it were, with more housing for people who really need it, elderly, and their waiting list is what, 10+ years and all that. And yet, there's not financing. If we could, on a future land use map, to me, that'd be, wow, these are the things we need to get financing for, and why don't we hit a bunch at once instead of taking forever to try to get it?
I
One by one.
think that's outside our
not a
scope.
land use.
Yeah.
that it needs
It's
to
more
be
along the
allowed.
lines of like a
It's-
TIF,
I mean,
TIF
that's-
district.
Certainly in the text, and that's one of the recommendations for the Groton Housing
I
Authority.
feel like it's gonna get lost, but. Cause you've got like that Mystic Congregate, of course, they got the land, they got the need.
Yeah,
And even Fairview, but they'll probably pull their, at least this phase off, they'll probably get the financing. They're doing pretty well, as I understand it. But then you have, back to Groton Housing Authority, they have what project that we approved. Then the
Yeah.
project is on the land next to them, and then they actually own that land, there's available land over by Kolmaski, right? So it's kind of like, maybe those three things should be in, I don't know, or
In the
something in the
text, I don't-
narrative.
I
Yeah.
really don't think it should be on the map.
No, that's okay, that's okay, I don't want those to get lost.
Exactly.
And it's kind of a bigger thing, if we could put all those together in the text.
Yep.
yeah. And that was my only point, is that there are certain things in urgency, so we can't put them on the map, right? But why we aren't, when PLCD comes out, and if we all agree on this and town council agrees, we need some urgent issues here to solve some big problems we have in town. And it's not going to affect the map, but that was just a really urgent thing for me to have more than anything else. That's it.
I kind of struggling here, this map to me would be clear if we use one color for the mixed use. It's this idea that we have light pink, dark, light pink, I don't think shows up very well for one thing. But if we could make that all pink, I think it's a better visual, this is where you can put mixed use. Right?
You're saying combine the town village center mixed use with other mixed use?
Just for purposes.
Well, I think there's a distinct difference.
Behind.
Well, so that was actually one of my comments I think I made before, and I'd like to put it forward again, is that we drag up the dark pink town village center mixed use for in the future all the way up Route 12 so that we can start to develop that sense of place we've talked about. So I wouldn't want them combined because I think that there is a distinction between the mixed use we'd have here and then the mixed use that we have here on like Colgate and Gold Star. Yeah. Right. So I want to drag that dark pink up and make it separate from Tollgate and Gold Star.
No, that's fine.
I don't know how the other commission
Do we need to do anything special to do that?
can we change the map?
Because it was, be a change in zoning though, right?
Well, in the future.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So we
for
put
further
that-
analysis and,
Mhm.
right, this just sort of sets the table for it.
Right. So can we change the map for the future?
If we're talking about that, would it go all the way up? I mean,
So this-
I think by the time you get to the very northern tip, that's not where it belongs for that kind of thing, just because there's all that maybe housing on one side and there's just not much happening there.
No, but down here where we have those Crystal Lake Apartments building, I can imagine that some of these commercial properties right here would want to be, and right here on Crystal Lake would. So I'm down on I'm to the north of Route 12 where it hits the sub base there. That's that big, all the way in the left-hand corner. That's the sub base. Go up even further.
Oh, way up there.
Yep, the northern tip. So that's where Crystal Lake Road intersects with Route 12. And so we have those apartments there, but there's also several commercial businesses that if they were to
Oh, up here.
change in
Just a
use.
little- it's just a tiny bit up there.
Right,
You're like the east side of Route 12? Or on Crystal Lake itself?
both.
Okay.
But I mean, we don't have to drag it all the way out to Crystal Lake, but I imagine Crystal Lake new developments will follow closely to what Route 12 does. And even though there is a lot of green space and fence space you see here,
Yeah.
I don't think that that means, one, that there won't ever be infill there because especially if we allow for it, there's a lot of space on either side of those roads. And again, those commercial properties, if ever, hopefully they change hands and become new uses, I would want them to fit the same style as over here.
I don't think I agree. I mean, I
Okay.
think the Paquonic Bridge area is building off of the historic structures that are there.
Sure.
And it sort of morphs into the downtown. I really think, I mean, I agree mixed use. I just don't see it having the same design, the same zoning really as up on Route 12 as it does.
I think the northern Route 12, to go for walkability,
Yes.
I don't think you're going to get there, except for maybe little pieces of it.
Well, if you're continuing to build apartment complexes, you have to have walkability there and you should encourage it. And it maybe not is the same design as Pequannock Village, but it should have a design standard that's cohesively applied.
Absolutely, and that is also in the text to actually come up with design
Right.
guidelines for along Route 12 that will be mixed use. I'm comfortable leaving in two different mixed uses here, just
Yeah, I
because
think-
one being historic.
And you could always presumably come up with a different mixed use zoning district down the line for that, right?
Yeah.
And start to or intermingle that with any design standards that come out.
Yeah, I'm just not comfortable lumping them all in the same sort of future land use.
Yeah, no, they're very different. That area up north there's
It's
big
much more
elevation
commercial.
changes between
Well,
Pleasant Valley North
but
and
it's-
Route
it's-
12. Those are residential properties now. They go all the way through.
Yeah.
A lot of them do up there.
What exactly is it about the town village center mixed use that you don't think could in the future work?
I think it's smaller scale, it's small scale structures that mimic how the Pequannock Village was originally developed. Up on Route 12, it was farmland, right, before all of this.
But is that something that is, and I don't have it memorized right, so do you have to build it that way? Is it a problem of expanding your design standards?
You do have to build it that way. There are design guidelines. for
Right,
all
so it's-
these areas, but
You'd
I don't-
apply it and you'd expand the design guidelines.
Right, but I personally think they're two different types of mixed uses. That's.
I think of the mixed use as we move down towards the center of Groton, even though you don't see it in Pequannock because it's a tiny village. It's a tiny one-horse village that goes through there. As you move to the center of Groton, there are
When you say
signs.
Pequannock Village, what is it like around
Midway Oval.
Midway.
Johnson's hardware?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, it's hardware, the barn.
Yeah,
And that was historically
the church.
always
Yeah.
just one strip to get you across the bridge.
There you go.
The little stone bridge that
Yeah.
used to be there. That's what that was. And as you get into the center, which it never was much of anything, but
It was wetlands.
it was wetlands. And now we have the opportunity to have side streets and alleys and different things that mimic a town. And that's what I think of when we talk about the town village center. So I would agree that I think maybe that standard could push a little bit farther north as population density goes farther north,
Mhm.
but not all the way up at this in the very foreseeable future, because it just wants to be a strip. I would love to see it have some character, but it's a 4-lane road with tons of traffic blasting through it
And
that,
maybe housing.
and maybe housing on,
That's-
or at least on
Oh,
the
well,
east side,
yeah.
that will just keep it from ever becoming much there.
Oh, I disagree with that. I don't think that the only thing keeping it from ever becoming much is like a lack of planning. I mean, we can give that foresight, and that's really what I'm driving at. Is I would like to indicate on this future land use map that where we are building a lot of density right now, right? That is primarily where the density is going. You've increased from medium to high in this area and a couple parcels. We're building density there. I think that we need to have a future focus on that's the Pleasant Valley School.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to have a future focus on how we want that to look. And even if it's not using the town village center mixed use as it's currently written, then some indication that this is an area we want to write a new design standard for.
Possible.
Right, to again, promote the walkability, promote the sense of place.
Yep.
And make sure that we're building for humans and not just
Yeah.
containers for
There's
humans.
the area north of the car district before you get to sub-base. There's a node up there, which is now a bar. And there's a little bit up there that's commercial,
Sure.
that's sandwiched between Pleasant Valley.
Lake Road and.
And it's shown as other mixed use.
And it's other
Right.
mixed use, but
Right.
Right here. So this
that would be the
12
only
portion.
possible place to
Yep.
make it another little
Yep.
townish node.
Yep.
That might not be the other so much.
I'm
as
thinking
Dancing
of-
Town Village.
Right here, so right in here is where you have your Stop and Shop, right?
Oh, they're right. I completely agree. That
Well, that's what I'm speaking of, right?
Okay.
Right here where we have our Stop and Shop and our AutoZone and Gansett wraps. All the way up, that's Pleasant
you
Valley.
go all the way up, and that's where I lose it.
Well, this is about where you get more, this is just Navy housing. So the section we're talking about is quite substantial. Before this in relation, right? This is the Navy housing you're talking about where there's not much to do anything.
Right.
But from like here where it intersects at that stoplight, all the way down, and that's toll gate. That's all something that
north?
can and should
No.
have a more walkable designed feel.
Okay, well, the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll come around, Michael.
No, I know where it
Yeah.
is. I know where
Here.
you're,
Okay.
it seems like.
This.
Oh,
this
I'm
is the-
sorry.
This is the note I'm talking about, right? Yeah, Williams Healy down
This
here,
is,
Pleasant Valley up
Tollgate
here,
Road right here.
and then toll gates
And
here.
this is the
And
intersection.
it
So what she's.
connects over here to a substantial amount. Even this whole toll gate area, we need to do something about in terms of sidewalks.
And make this.
Again, the increase in density and the increase of uses over here if we want commercial uses.
Still get them.
Which is what?
Toll gate right here. Yeah.
It's
It's in Route 144, yes, right here.
95.
They're both mixed use.
Yeah.
It's tough. I
Mhm.
mean, it'd be nice.
Right, but mixed use as it is needs, I think, to be changed.
Yeah, maybe.
But do we want to change it throughout the entire, or are we trying to create a new mixed use if town center doesn't?
And
work?
that's up to you guys.
Right.
I mean, it really is. If this future land use map, if adopted like this, says needs to be some sort of mixed use here. So one of the tasks is gonna be, let's start coming up with some zoning that's appropriate for Route 12.
Right.
But also the other areas, which may be different types of zoning, the
Right.
ones along 117 and. But this just indicates that, yep, we want a mixed use zoning and design guidelines.
Actually, right, the way this is now, this does not preclude what you're suggesting.
No, not at all.
Right, my,
And maybe if we need to focus more, because I think there is kind of a dead zone for that kind of use of car places. That's just a long dead zone of walking and
That's what I.
a Navy housing on the other side. And that's not going to ever be anything. That's just a big stretch of nothing much. Just north of that for a little while and everything south of that, I agree. But it isn't the whole stretch by
No.
any means.
no, but
So,
my point is, I'd like to indicate that that is something that we're looking towards in the future. So I don't know how we want to indicate that on the map.
I don't know if they didn't get a map.
I think it is. I mean, it's all about.
I think it might be too much of a detail to put on this kind of map. I agree we should do it, but that's why I say it's not.
I just don't want it to get lost in everything else.
You
Every-
can,
We'll
you
keep
can
it.
try some district. Why don't you try
That's why we're
whatever?
here.
I mean, that's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this area to like right where it says 95, to the left of it, that is now in the light paint? So that's all around the oleos and.
Yeah,
Right here.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
And that possibly is an area that could.
Other mixed use.
Should
But that's other though, because that can't be village.
That can't,
No.
I wouldn't want to walk unless we put a
People do walk there.
bus stop and a parking lot. And it's kind of like, what's the difference between edible and eatable? You know, is it edible? Sure. Is it eatable?
Yeah.
Okay, I got one more thing. That's the other.
Okay.
Okay, one thing that's bothering about this map is I don't think it's describing the areas that it's highlighting over here. For example, if you talk about, particularly these the R7 with high density, I think it'd be good if we said like multi-unit or something. And put down 7,000 square foot lots or something. Somehow I'll have it, what are we talking about, like R12?
In the
It says
text.
medium density, and that sounds like something horrible probably to the general public looking at this for the first time. They say, wow, we have this much medium density, but it's single unit, you know, basic zoning. 12,000 square feet. That'd be nice if we had just those numbers somewhere so people know what are we really talking about here.
I mean, that's
In the text.
is for,
That's what the key is.
basic, yeah.
They just, how much do we want to write here?
Yeah, okay, it doesn't fall in.
Sorry.
So, yeah. And then
This
the
was just
same,
following.
even the R20 and stuff like that, R20, R40, R80, they're one unit. Well,
Agreed, but don't mix the zoning with a generalized future land use that you may or may not implement.
No, I'm not saying, I'm saying, it'd be nice to have somebody say, what does it really mean now? Okay.
Do you want to have it put right in the,
Just say,
Legend?
it's like a new definition.
Or
Like when
even-
you say residential. Low density, what does that mean? I don't-
So Sue, on the key, would you want it to say something like residential high density 15 plus units?
So you.
Just in the key.
Well, either square. That's.
Square feet means nothing to the general
Yeah.
public.
Yeah.
Units per acre?
Unit, that'll also mean
And
nothing.
that's why this was part, this is, and it can be tweaked, but like that was the whole reason
She's
to have
trying to
it.
get this to be on thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't, it's too much to say.
Something on an 8.5.
Too many notes.
Thing is, this is gonna scare people. To just hear this. I was like, what? I'm in R12, and all of a sudden I do 4 units here. So I'm just
No,
saying.
and you will explain that, no, that is not
No,
what
it's
this
not gonna
means.
explain that,
That's,
because it
but
says-
it's not what it means. It's
That's
the
what I'm saying.
future land use map,
No, but
okay?
that-
If you
that's
want
gonna
to-
scare people. You're gonna have, this is gonna be filled with.
If you want to implement these recommendations, then there is another process. It is the process
I know
of
that.
changing the
I know.
zoning.
Okay.
And that's,
I
so
know.
this is not,
No, this to me is not a good idea. Okay. I'll just be quite honest. I think we should just keep it very clean, simple on this big map. So somebody here, because people aren't going with that.
I think that's very useful.
I think it's very useful.
11 pages. It's
Yeah,
not
though
gonna be-
though I wouldn't send or justify it, by the way, but.
Yeah.
I don't know who was thinking that one. Click off that button, but so you think this is good have?
I think that is good for lay people.
And we
Which we
follow
are
the
not.
conventions of the 2016
I-
P O C D exactly. So the way that this was set up to the side, it's the same.
Yeah, that's what you know. And I got voted down, but now it's your turn.
And actually, I want to talk to you about that if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The direction you gave to Horsley Witten was keep the densities the same as 2016. So I just want to talk to you about 2 items.
Yeah.
The first one that you discussed quite a bit was the high density. And you recognize that the high density in 2016 does not reflect what has been built. And in your discussion, you said, yeah, okay, we'll leave that the way it's proposed, but you didn't include that in your motion. Okay, so there was that.
No, I don't think I meant as
Oh.
proposed either.
Oh, okay. It wasn't clear. Okay, and then the other thing is rural.
Yeah.
So rural generally is the RU 40 and 80, okay? And currently, the 2016 key says that means 1 unit or less, okay? The zoning in RU 40 and RU 80 allows 2 units on those lots.
Oh, 42.
Right, so yeah, it does. You can do duplexes.
That's what-
So it may make sense to use what the proposal is, which is 2 units per acre or less, rather than keeping the 2016 one unit or less.
Sure.
Anyway, I just wanted to,
yeah, I think that what happened, I think that we were kind of hoping to get more information and not make big changes until that information was.
and I have to tell you, we spent all of last year getting you guys information.
thought we had.
So-
No, it was this housing study or whatever it was.
It was kind of increase in units.
It was-
So
It was presented to you in December.
That's what
So
I'm
that's,
saying.
yeah.
In
Yep.
December, and then you sit down
Yep.
and look at it in
Yep.
January. It hasn't been long at all, and there was like no background, as a workday where did this achieve the goals, all these kind of discussion.
Yeah, we had hoped all the information we had gotten you all last year was set the table
No,
to understand that we
There's a
need
difference.
housing and this is one mechanism to do it. And this is, again, a future land use map. It's aspirational, and if you or a developer chooses to come in with an application to increase density to meet what's on this map, then you do the analysis.
no, I understand, but,
And you may or may
no,
not.
I
approve it.
think I don't think it was. Didn't have all the background, analysis, which isn't analysis paralysis, but again, even much of anything to really say, this is gonna make sense. People are gonna invest in this to put units here. This is gonna give us, that's the other thing. What are we really gonna get out of this? How many units can we?
What did you get out
Pop
of
up.
2016? I mean, it's, again,
Oh, 2016,
that was an increase from the
Definitely.
previous one,
No, I-
2003.
but that's why I was kind of hoping here that we would know where we are now, right? Because every time I think, okay, and I do wanna, we do wanna go forward and get a lot of, I dare say, we're a consensus here, getting more missing middle and all that stuff, right? But I'm just not comfortable with where it's gonna work and what kind of process is gonna work, who's gonna, like I say, invest in it, make sure that people living here wanna do it, because this is like a little bit of a surprise, that you're saying most people are living here. So anyway, that is those things. Because you have to make sure you're gonna be successful. And I've been at a lot of public hearings that are, you'll wanna be on, you wanna have your ducks in a row, and you wanna have a successful hearing, and get the product you want. And I just thought, listen, well,
So let me ask, Deb, are you saying that you're uncomfortable with going back to the 2016 definitions, that you feel it'd be better to stick with what has been in front of us for the last few months that I've seen that, and I guess I didn't hear any new information last week that made me think, oh, well, all of these conversations we've had about this, we're in the wrong direction and we need to fall back to a different position. I don't know what the other commissioners were thinking about or what other information you had, but it seemed to me that it's not like we've gotten some new information. As you said, this has been before, certainly for me since last November, or the commission for much longer than that. So it just seems to me that, we're trying to set a direction here regarding density. And I guess I kind of go back to the staff here and say, what are you most comfortable with? And, this conversation kind of came up on you quickly last Thursday. Didn't appear as though you had a lot of time to think about it. You've had 3 or 4 days now to reflect on it and discuss it among yourselves. Where are you at on this particular item?
I mean, we are comfortable with what was proposed for residential densities. We felt that it essentially sets the table for what we're going to get out of the missing middle project. And again, knowing that this is aspirational, it doesn't mean you have to do the changes. Yeah, we were comfortable with these densities.
isn't this a 2019 zone? Which, that's, well, I mean, basically, this is updated at least for the 2019
So
definitions.
So this reflects some of the changes that you made to the zoning based on the 2016 future land use map. So that's why you see these mixed use village districts here, because that was recommended in 2016. You implemented it in 2019. And so now it's shown on the map.
So this map was really as of 2019, I mean, parts of it was.
Some parts, that's
Yeah,
correct.
See, that's what, this is not just 2016. I mean, it's important. We're not back there. But, okay, well, I think, maybe I wish I could write in what these things are, people want, that's okay.
I'm just concerned about how many words will
Oh,
be
no, I
on.
was gonna take out a bunch.
Yeah.
Took up really simple.
Just
Yeah.
graphically, I think.
I think so too. I think it
But
will.
that's fine. I think we made some other changes here that will make it a lot clearer.
So I'm not quite understanding what we're saying here. thinking about now putting some kind of text box on this map that would
No,
explain this
no,
or
we're
keeping it
not.
separate?
No, we're
Okay,
not.
okay.
Okay.
We go with consensus here.
We go on.
No, I'm going with the consensus. That's why I'm hearing people don't want to do that. That's fun.
Put more information on this?
Well, they say what exactly it is.
Well, might be, I might just give a little more information than,
Well, part of our problem is that it's not going to be this big. It's going, it's going into a book.
Right.
It's gonna be that big.
Might be a template.
Yeah, it's might be a threat, but maybe.
maybe you just don't call it medium density and high density, you just call it residential, and then instead of those words, you use
Unit
what
numbers.
it is.
But the range of residential is so enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything from rural to high, and so you don't just want to say.
Really, that leaves you wide open. If you just say it's residential, well, then maybe I want 50 units per acre.
Anything can go.
That works. You know, it's consistent with the plan. So, yeah.
Square footage of the.
But we do, but it's in a separate page.
Well,
We'll
I
have to
think
go
it's
through.
important, I think it's important for us to be listening to the staff on this and be thinking
No,
about.
we've heard you. That's good. Okay, we all have our.
Can I
all said everything we want to say?
No.
just editorial on the colors? I would like to see a de-emphasis on the green to a lighter shade of green because that's nothing that we're going to really do anything with. And I'd rather focus more on what we could or would be doing stuff on.
Would you be comfortable with matching, if you look at the city, that's
Yes.
the shade that NOAA uses for our base map? You want
I
that
do.
shade?
I like that shade and I'd like to see the city and Groton Long Point completely grayed out.
Yep. No
think-
partial lines, no nothing?
Yeah, I think we talked about that before too.
Yep,
Yeah, there's-
take care of that.
Except we have a school property in the city.
But again,
Nothing
that's
that
the
we would be
subject
able
of the
to.
city's POC.
Right.
Yep.
So
So what? green?
No, just a pale.
just a pale green, a paler green.
Yeah.
Shade.
We could-
I'm gonna drop it. I do. No, not on your map, on our map.
No, I agree. That's a nice. school.
I'd like to de-emphasize the green spaces
No, I
because
think
we
so,
don't want
yeah.
to, you know, I want to draw people's attention
Because
to
that's, yeah,
development areas.
that's a problem.
Kind of the same thing with the industrial, like the blues could probably be a less eye-catching blue.
There's a lot of oversaturation in those colors.
Yeah,
That-
I know.
And I don't know if that's a function of how it printed or.
No, it was a function of our back and forth revising.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you guys okay with the parcels? The parcel lines as they're constituted? Does that work for you?
I think it looks a lot better on this map than the 2016 did. The 2016 is a mess.
Too dark.
That's
That's
so
something.
much
we
going
could
on with the
revisit.
lines and the,
Okay.
so this looks better
Okay.
Yeah, with that scale.
at this scale. Yeah.
Me, I like fuzzy lines myself, so you can't say, oh, look at the street. No, it's not supposed to be that.
Yeah.
But that's the way the graphics work, so.
Just to make sure that we got everything from the last meeting too. We talked about road labeling. What did we feel about the road labeling? I remember that being mentioned. Are we okay? Are we okay with which roads are labeled, how they're labeled?
I think this is all fine. Oh, quick, MDD expansion. Why is that on there?
That's part of the area of future analysis, which will be combined into.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Same thing with the transportation fund. It'll
Yeah.
be
Gotcha.
all the same.
I'm happy with these because I think people can orient themselves on the major
Yeah,
roadways.
that's.
And like you said, it's more of a fuzzy line thing.
It's a
They
fuzzy-
get, I tend
It's
to put
supposed to be
their,
a fuzzy line
Yeah.
thing. Though honestly, because of the graphic. Among the roads I looked at, I can follow Route 184. Maybe this is just a slight tweak in a gray, and I hate to say it, but. Route 95, I can see Route 1 is the other important thing, and it kind of gets lost in there. So
Yeah, this is.
it is a little help.
we call it, so we use a black for those roads?
Yeah, without the white around,
Or that, yeah.
and maybe do another Route 1 as you get closer to Mystic.
Yeah.
Can you call out either Allen Street or whatever what is that? No?
No.
We can.
Will you, to calling out some of the roads at a lower classification, just one-offs? Like I would feel more comfortable going back with the consultants with like, this is the road classification that we
Okay,
want labeled,
all right.
around, not just Allen
yeah.
Street. in
Yeah, no.
particular.
I just look at I try, when I look at a map like this really quick, I try to like, okay, I know the roads,
State route.
north,
Yeah,
south,
yeah.
east, west, and
Yeah, what is it?
I don't remember the name,
Yeah,
but it is a
it's-
state road,
it's-
so we could.
Oh, yeah.
label
True.
Yeah.
Allen Street, Allen Street.
349.
Don't just,
Just so that
don't just say it's Westminster.
You know,
but
and
it's
the other thing is
around.
that if they could be oriented, I don't, can you put them all?
You mean horizontal, just, it's gonna get really weird. It's gonna, it's not
Doesn't
gonna
work,
look,
huh?
yeah.
Cause it really, I like the Route 1 down here.
Yeah.
I don't even see it, but it's
Oh, yeah.
just because it's
The
a
one
one.
gets cut because it.
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah, typically they
One,
follow
it's
the center
following.
line.
15.
So just get that road a little bit
Yeah,
beefier.
yeah, it's,
So we see it.
I mean, sometimes I look at these things and it's.
What is that called?
You can't even find where anything is.
It actually is. It's Noack Road and it's,
Okay.
It actually goes into Water Street at one point.
yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever called it. No, not that I'm aware of.
Right here, here's 215.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a loop.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It really should be 1A, but it's, for some reason, they decided to give it a new
215.
number.
Okay, anything else?
Okay, did you guys give me an answer on the rural? On the, I mean, currently, right, RU 40, RU 80 allows 2 units, but the 2016 calls for it to be 1 unit or less.
It should.
No, I think it should be.
That's fine.
2 units per
2 units,
acre
yeah.
or less.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll use
That's
that.
fine.
Okay.
And I just, as a party shot here, I want everybody to know, there is a playground map, so you can see
Yeah.
exactly where they. And I did an analysis of where they are for the voting district.
Uh-huh.
And congratulations, you have the best board of anybody. In fact.
Oh, that's what
Oh.
conservation did,
Yeah.
right? That's a
Yeah,
conservation
yeah.
one, yeah.
Yeah, and how many of those 30 are
Ah.
the non-Navy families?
Is that?
How many of those 30 are accessible to non-naval families?
No, they are, because that's what the head of Park and Recs confirmed that, so.
All right, well, I've gotten kicked off of them.
No, it shouldn't, because he had the okay.
By whom?
Whatever the management is, but I don't
It was
have.
probably
any
just
say
something
for anything.
personal.
We can.
Yeah,
That's
not like-
something that can be taken up with the.
I'm just saying,
Exactly.
ownership and stewardship by the public is an important factor in distinct. No,
You can show up to.
Is the reservoir in the-
Next
in-
Wednesday.
what meeting?
The compatible use plan.
Well, there you go.
So that's the meeting that the COG's putting on.
I know, yeah.
And you
Yeah,
can,
next Wednesday.
yep,
try.
and that is precisely what that compatible use plan is about, is ensuring that host communities function well with the
Right.
military installation.
Right.
That sounds like a little management
Yep.
glitch.
Okay, so we want
It's
to
a
do.
philosophical
motion to
gist.
adjourn? Everybody ready?
No,
Wait, let me
absolutely not.
just want to recap here, okay, before you do that. All right. So, all right, so we are going to get the narratives revised
Okay.
based on the comments that we have
Yes.
received. As soon as we get them, we're not going to give them to you because we are also going to have maps dropped into it. We're going to have
Oh,
graphics and
okay.
we're going to have pictures.
Right,
So you will have, okay, a full package.
super.
And I'll figure out when that is actually gonna be available. I'm hoping in the next week.
Yeah, don't
Because
rush.
again, we need to,
Need a
we
break.
do.
We need to rush.
We do need to rush. And so that leads us to the implementation matrix. If you have comments, that would give us a kickstart on it, please. You know, that, no, this shouldn't be Parks and Rec, it should be planning and development,
You want
or
to take my.
this should be short term, it
I
shouldn't
mean, this
be,
looks-
that would really help.
Okay.
I have so many comments.
Okay,
And it's not as bad as it looks, but a lot of.
It does look bad.
A lot of these are X's out and stuff like that. Yeah, I have.
Okay, I don't want comments on the strategies. I want comments on, you know, the people who are responsible for implementation and the timetable.
Right.
Okay,
All our team are all the time.
okay, that's fine.
One quick question, because Deb, you started reading off that paper and it tickled something in my brain. I think on that sheet, it has, yes, that one. So under medium, we have 3 to 15 units, and Bryce in his study keeps talking about up to 19. Can we have some consistency?
That is more of a function of Horsey Witten looking at the existing high density to the RM zones and what's been developed there. That's more of a function of reflecting that. If you do, and again, 2 to 19 is what we're looking at in this study. There's no definition of missing middle.
Okay,
So if you would like consistency with that, I mean, I don't
what's
think
the
that.
ramifications of that? Like, where did we come up with 15?
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
That was the consultant looking at existing development within the RM zoning districts
To mimic.
and
that.
trying to mimic that.
But
And
you
we
guys
have a
aren't
different
using that.
consultant saying 19.
No.
Yeah.
Might have found some that are 15 and
Yeah.
said, that's.
Yes.
But what about that study that you presented to us way back, that
I-
the cost of?
I understand what you're saying. I
The point
understand.
being is we're talking to the public a lot about missing middle and we're putting it up
You're
at
right, we need to
19.
be
That's right.
And then we're gonna have this POCD that says something different.
Okay.
I don't know what number, just pick one.
Okay.
Medium
Got
density,
it.
we weren't looking at it as medium density equating to missing middle housing. I
Uh-huh.
know it's very related, but if that's how you want to approach it,
I think
then we
that's
can
wise.
carry, because in the text, I don't believe we designate what missing
Nope.
middle actually is
Nope, maybe
unit
we should.
wise. So there wouldn't
Nope.
be conflict there, but if you wanted to drill down and get more specific on that.
So you're not gonna be specific, you'll keep it. I mean.
We just,
I think it would be helpful for the public
It
if we
will be.
did.
Yes, it will be
Include that.
consistent from the missing project and the POC.
You'll be able to find numbers
That's
to
right.
be the same.
People are going
Not
to want to go
Had in mind, but. it-
those conversations.
It's a difference in work, it's a difference.
You're gonna use.
19.
it would be 2 to 19. It would be the range that's shown in the legend for medium density to match the 2 to 19, which is how we're looking at missing middle housing in the missing middle housing project.
And would we want in any discussion of residential medium density to start talking about middle housing there? I think is kind of the other part that you mentioned is that it's absent right now, but if we're matching it just in this legend.
Yeah, we just weren't equating missing middle housing or middle housing to medium density as it's portrayed on the flume. I mean, that,
Although, we were hoping with these new densities to sort of set the table for missing middle.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying
Yeah.
to take that next step.
Yeah.
I think out of fairness, from a zoning background, which I really am. For quite a while, we don't think in terms of density. That's a word that density means one thing to me and maybe.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
No, I think as far as
Yeah.
when you say this is, density here, no, it's not density. There's single family houses and stuff like that.
It's a
So
calculation.
that's the,
Density is just a calculation. I mean,
no, but
that's,
maybe so, but it's also a visual, I think. So I think that's.
I think, sorry, I think density often is interpreted as 4-letter word, like if density is bad, when we could be talking about 1 unit per 5 acres that's the density of it, but just the word density is taken on a bad connotation.
Oh, absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I
And
think
that's the
that's
problem I was having with the future land use map, is you're so density, and then you're like, oh, and they're gonna put 4 more units.
and there's just no better proxy.
I
Like, we
mean,
don't
right,
have,
units per acre is what, as opposed to.
yeah, we don't have a better way to describe it.
Viscosity.
Yeah.
Viscosity is a different pressure.
Because no one knows what it means.
Exactly.
So sure. No, it's density, it's
Anyway,
relative density.
everybody ready to call it a. Thanks for.
Are we?
for your
Are we?
input.
Are we going to talk implementation matrix?
What's that?
Or are we talking about the implementation
No.
matrix or just sending it to
Send it to me and then we can put it,
Homework.
I mean, we've got public hearings at the next meeting, but we can at least put it on the agenda. to make sure.
Okay.
And
Sorry
you
for
can,
that.
yeah,
One thing you started with.
yeah, but please send me comments.
Well, I can mark up the ones you got on responsibility.
Okay, that would be good.
At least
Yeah.
we did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
My
would
other
be,
comments is to get rid of one.
but that means you're getting rid of them in the text.
So that's in the text. These are just reflection of
No,
the
you
text.
feel like some were like double. Something. I think it was a lot of perfect.
Look at the text because those
I
came
don't have
directly.
the text.
I know, it comes, no, the one that
You I get the text.
came directly from that.
I gotta look at the text till I get that. Little cross on it. Okay, anything else? Nice things. Any motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, Jim.